And welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live. What a great conversation we're having. We call it Time for Reason. And you know it's that time, folks. Time for sanity to prevail and all the madness to end. Archbishop Jackson Olasepit is in the house, as is Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome and Reverend Father Joseph Mutie. Talking sense. Gentlemen, real quick, we'll talk about Kibra, Reverend Father. You were there the other day with Sheikh Lethome. The church was completely destroyed. Completely destroyed.
In fact, the church hosted a school and a technical, polytechnic, I think, and nothing was left.
And don't these people realize they're destroying their own?
Actually,
Sheikh.
Children from the other community go to that school. Muslim children are without school today because they destroyed the school in the church. It has affected everybody, Muslims and Christians. That's how bad it is.
Is this ethnic in nature? Is there any kind of...
I think whoever is driving this agenda, whom we don't know, is trying to bring a religious war, conflict, which we are saying no to it.
Right.
We are with my brother here, Sheikh Lethome. We speak, we are together in the Interreligious Council. We work together. Christians and Muslims in this country have perfect relationships, at the top and at the ground. What happened in Kibra is unfortunate, and we call upon those people not to be incited, because we are not going to allow it to be a religious war. We also don't want it to be an ethnic war. This is purely a political contest. And we want Kenyans to see that every one of us matter. We belong together as communities of this country. There is no lesser community and higher community. We all are equally Kenyans. And I think it is about time Kenyans must begin a conversation outside of what politicians are leading us into, to say, what Kenya do we want? No. How do we want to live ourselves? So that we will not allow ourselves to be mobilized to do wrong things against each other. Because at the end of the day, when they meet, because finally we know God will bring them together and they will meet. But somebody has died. And somebody has lost a business. No compensation. That person may not have an insurance. For them to revive, to come back to normalcy, will take years. And a political settlement can be reached. But Kenyans have suffered. So we must ask ourselves, how can we, as Kenyans, say no to anything that will make me suffer, even if I'm mobilized by anybody of my tribe or my ethnic background to do something wrong against my brother, who is my neighbor, whom I go and borrow sugar from when I don't have, or a matchbox to light the fire in my house. We need to understand that we are here to thrive together. We are here to thrive as communities and people and individuals. We need to see ourselves as Kenyans, not as individuals and communities or religious background. God has given us all those opportunities to thrive in those communities, but we are built into one house called Kenya.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. I have to ask you this, gentlemen, because you're all men of religion. Reverend Father, has God forgotten us?
Oh, no. God will never forsake his children. It is the children who can forget the Father. In fact, we are provoking God to anger. And I pray that God will not act in his anger and punish us. What we are doing to each other is wrong. We need to now uphold our religious, our affirmations, our spirituality. We need to improve on our spirituality. Because we say we are a religious nation. When we read our Bibles, when we read our Quran, when we read our Gita, what does it tell us? Does it lead us to such violence or such animosity that we are seeing? Who is the enemy of who in this land? And why are we creating more enemies as we continue to grow? I was just thinking the other day, today Kenya is almost 60 years. A 60-year person could be a man or a woman with wisdom and great experience. Do we, portray that experience? Although they said also foolish people grow old. Does it mean we are all foolish? No. God is with us. And God does not want us to provoke. He still loves us. Let us reach out. Let us reach out to each other, especially the two principles. It's a moment just to say we are, and the good thing is that they are Christians. What the Bible tells about, loving each other and forgiveness. Now we are headed to Pascha. When Jesus Christ himself gave himself for us. Are we really professing the same? Are we portraying the same? It's a shame on us when we are professing to be Christians and doing the opposite. I think God is still kind. God is still merciful and is calling upon us as a country to come back to ourselves and let us reason together. Where we have fallen and gone back, he is ready and willing to lift this country, to lift the economy of this country, to lift, even to change our social welfare, but also to give us health and long life. He is giving us rains, despite all of the evils that we are committing. He is showing us his mercy. Let's go back to God. Let's own our religion and say, I am a Christian and this is what I profess. I forgive. And God forgives and forgets. Let us try our best, even during this time of Ramadan, during this time when we are of Lent and when we are headed to Pascha. Let's share and extend a leave to each other and say, enough is enough. Let's forget the past. Let's move forward as a country and as a family.
Yeah. Sheikh Lathoma, you're nodding your head.
Yes.
It's the holy month of Ramadan.
Yeah, it's the holy month of Ramadan, and that makes me feel like invoking some teachings from the Quran, where God tells us, and do not with your own hands put yourself into destruction. Looking at what is happening, it's like with our own hands. It's not God. It is not God, because God wants us to gave us a gift, the intellect, to choose what is right and what is wrong. Jeff, we all know we are Kenyans. We have problems. We have unemployment. Of course, the cost of life is very high. So many problems that we have. But is this the solution? The answer is no. The end does not justify the means. And then when you listen to both sides of the divide invoking the Constitution, because when you listen to people in the opposition, they will tell you, we are working under Article 37 of the Constitution, freedom of picketing and the rest. True. On the other hand, the government will say, we have a constitutional mandate to make sure that we don't allow this. Now you wonder, who is lying to who? On one hand, of course, the Constitution is very clear, and the authors of the Constitution were very clear in their minds when this freedom was granted. There is no absolute freedom. Every freedom has a limit, and every freedom comes with a responsibility. If we were to clearly interpret the provisions of the Constitution in terms of this freedom that is being invoked by the opposition side, and they're very right, Kenyans have a freedom to go out and protest. But then take responsibility. In Kenya now we know, it's almost predictable, that anytime we hear of protest, there will be destruction. Somebody will be sweeping broken glass the next day. A child will go hungry tomorrow because their mother was not able to sell sukuma wiki at their kiosk. Somebody will lose their vehicle. Journalists were not spared. You people were not spared. We saw what happened in Kibra and the other parts of the country. Then on the other hand, the people who are, because the Constitution is very clear, that protesters should be given protection to make sure that they do not destroy. Why do we allow our protest to go haywire and they lead to destruction? Because tomorrow, Jeff, whether we want it or not, there are people who have decided, I'm not coming to town tomorrow. They've told me, I'm not coming to town tomorrow. That means some shops will be closed, some businesses will not be working tomorrow. That is a bite into our economy. And you feel the pain when you look at the newspaper headlines. The other day I was looking at it, how a neighboring country is ripping out of our misery. Yes, a neighboring country. The headlines of the country here, the economy of the other country is growing at the expense of our economy. So let us use this faculty that God has given us, the gift. The difference between me and a camel is not the size. It is the intellect, the power of reasoning that God has given us. Can we sit down and reason? What is the solution to our problems? And it's only through reasoning, and when we stop grandstanding, that we can think soberly and come up with solution. And God will pray. We'll continue praying. Archbishop is praying. He is praying. We are all praying. But God works through us also. When Moses wanted to cross the sea, he had no boat, he had no aeroplane, no bridge. He was stranded, but he said, I trust in God. He will help me through. That is trust. We trust in God, and God is not angry with us. But God wants us to use the gift of reason that he gave us to do the right thing. Like Moses was told, you want to cross? Do something small, I'll do the rest. Take your stick, hit the water, I'll do the rest. God is waiting for us to do the little that we must do and we can't do, and that is reason with one another, talk with each other. And sometimes, Archbishop, I ask myself, I know as you work and as he works and I work, you always remember that one day you'll stand before God and you'll be answerable for the position that you hold. These are Christians and Muslims who go to the places of worship and even cry there. To which God do they cry? We want to tell them tonight, Jeff, one day you will stand before God. And for this period that God gave you, this position of leadership, Jeff, you'll be answerable before God. Don't they fear that? These are people who go to places of worship. Yeah. So we want to tell them tonight, fear God, and remember, you'll be answerable for this. So can we make use of the reason, the gift that God has given us? Let us reason. Let us talk with each other, not at each other, and come up with solutions. And I believe if we calm down, we'll be able to get solutions. What we are seeing now, the destruction we are seeing, there is no solution in that.
No, there isn't. And it brings me to my next point, Archbishop. For 2 Mondays, the country's capital has shut down. 2 Mondays in a row. And now we're going to add a Thursday. Come on, is any of this sustainable?
This is completely unsustainable because it's not just businesses closed. It is scaring away the investors of this country. It is making, us, in the eyes of the international community, to look, a country where, when we had a peaceful transition, there was a high hope internationally that people can come and invest in Kenya. But with the current scenario, everybody is moving away. That will not give us opportunities to create more jobs. Without more jobs, there will be no taxation. Without businesses thriving, the government will not be able to raise enough money. We cannot sustain ourselves with borrowed money or loans. We already are a country that has almost surpassed the limits of what we can borrow. So if we continue to kill what we can be able to generate locally through this protest that kills businesses and opportunities, then which country are we building? Where are we headed? So I want to call upon our leaders, both in the government and in the opposition, to come to their senses, to see Kenya is bigger than them. And what we are doing actually will make this country completely come to its knees economically. It will make this country isolated when we had an opportunity to lead the Africa region. Because, if you look at the rest of the countries in Africa, Kenya was emerging as a leading economy. Yeah. If you see what's happening in South Africa, you see what's happening in Nigeria and other countries that were, Kenya was taking a position. But now with what we are doing to ourselves, we are degrading ourselves other than upgrading ourselves. And what we are doing today is a degrade to the economy, a degrade to ourselves, a degrade to humanity, a degrade to, what we can be able to offer the nations of Africa, the nations of the world. So mine is, can we sober up and call off this protest, and the government come down from its stand and say, let us put the things and the issues that are being raised on the table. We reason out. There is nothing impossible when people sit down to think and to reason. So if there will be an issue, people will be able to put it on the table. If it's acceptable, reasonable, people will talk about it. But this standoff is not going to benefit Honorable Raila Odinga, is not going to benefit President William Ruto. It's not going to benefit Kenyans. It's going to make Kenya miserable and degraded. But if we reason out, we have an opportunity to build it up. And that's my plea, that let us be people who can be able to think like, civilized people, a nation that is civil enough to reason out, so that we are not showing how powerful and mighty we are and how unstoppable we can be. Because if we come with that, language, then if, any one of us, me and JKLive may say I'm unstoppable because we are leading to faith and we are crushing the people we are leading. Who is going to suffer? It is them, but I will sing with them. So if Kenya suffers, our leaders will sing with Kenya. If we make Kenya a prosperous nation, they will thrive with Kenya. And I think that's the opportunity we need to say. We have an opportunity to think, how do we thrive so that all of us, including our leaders, thrive with Kenya, not sing with Kenya.
Absolutely. Reverend Father, and all you gentlemen, you've been talking about the standard of living. It's ridiculously high, and people watu wanateseka sana.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, people are saying how much they are suffering.
Yeah.
Reverend Father, is the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, are they going about it the wrong way with these street protests, with what they're doing, burning, looting?
Jeff, we are coming from a situation that was very wanting. The COVID-19 did a mess to this country. Immediately, COVID-19, was almost, and is almost getting down. The famine and drought came in. And now there were no rains. Farmers did not have faced anything for the last couple of years. The pastoralists lost their livestock. And so many things that, were taking us down. Last year was an election here. You remember everybody spent their time, politicking, and fears were all over that Kenya may go to the dogs if we don't play it well. So after all this, we are in a situation where we need to hold each other's hand. No one is safe because we buy food from the same shop. I mean, as in unga, in a shop is 200, all over, for me and for you. So we are all in trouble. Whether we go to the streets, whether we stand, we give our, positions and don't want to change our minds, we will still continue to suffer. And a blind man can never lead a blind man. Let us open our eyes and look at the ditch that we are going to fall if we continue in the same trade. Kenyans have no food. Even the government is trying to import food, but it is unable. We have challenge in every structure. Name it, the health structure, our education system. Many, we are going through very difficult times. This is not the moment to play about. This is the moment to come together and reason. Time to reason has come. Let us reason together if we want to better this country, if we want to grow our people economically, socially, even spiritually. Let us come together. It is only when we come together we will prosper.
Yeah. Sheikh Lethome, one would have expected the scenes we're seeing played out every Monday to have played out maybe 7 weeks or 7 days after the elections.
Exactly.
Not 7 months.
Exactly.
I mean, this is madness. I mean, can't we move on? Isn't it time to move on?
It is, Jeff, and we must move on. And for me, I hope this is an opportunity for us to talk to the people that must hear us. Jeff, we have an opportunity to save this country. Because if I was the leader of this country, what would I gain if there were chaos in the country? Who would I be leading in a chaotic country? I want to believe every president wants to lead a country that is prospering, a country that is peaceful. If you're a politician in any position, you would want to do your politics or to carry out your duties in a country that is peaceful. And we must do that. And I think the problem that we have in this country is that sometimes, as Kenyans, we think that the country belongs to the politicians and the others are just maybe tenants in this country. And I think this is wrong. And that's why we want to tell them, because we've heard them. We've heard both sides of the divide, that we've heard the religious leaders calling upon us to talk with one another. And then there is the mockery. And I want to say it here, Jeff, tonight, without fear or favor. We have not been talking about any handshake. It is not any of our business. When it happened, and we are not in the business of making people shake hands. But we are in the business of telling people, can you talk with each other? And I like what was said yesterday in Kibera. We don't care whether you shake hands or not. So because we can hear that mockery. We know people are being mocked. We know somebody is looking for a handshake. Forget it. Is it about a handshake? This is not about handshake. That was an event in history. It happened. It's gone. Nobody's talking about a handshake. I hate it when I hear that mockery of you're looking for a handshake. Kenyans are dying. Nobody's looking for a handshake here. And we don't, as religious leaders, we don't care about the handshake. If they can shake hands, it's upon them. But we want them to sit down and remember that they are leading this country on behalf of all of us. We have a stake in this country. And Jeff, all of them, when they are in trouble, and Archbishop Olesapit and Reverend will tell you the kind of shuttle diplomacy we did in 2017. I remember I was riding in his car, rushing to Bomas of Kenya because they could not solve their problems and they were looking for the religious leaders. Are they waiting until it is too late to call us? So what we are telling them, we are not going to wait until the country burns. We are telling them tonight from here, this country belongs to all of us. Gentlemen and ladies in those positions up there, can you come down from your grandstanding? Let us reason together for the sake of this country. Let us look for solutions for our problems. Since these protests started, what have we solved? Nothing. Actually, we have aggravated the situation. The situation is even worse. I know on Monday some children went hungry. For sure, in Kibra, there are kids without a school. Because, and it's the Muslim parents who are telling me, Reverend Father, the Muslim parents were telling me yesterday, because of the school that was burnt in the church, my kid is not going to school tomorrow. Yes. So we have not solved any problem, but we have aggravated the situation. Enough is enough. Ladies and gentlemen, let us reason together for the sake of this country. Stand up to be counted at this moment.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I want to take another quick break, come back. There's lots of reactions from folks across the country and across the world. We'll read the tweets and also talk about the way forward. Tomorrow is Mandamano Day, the way forward. And, you know, we have to stop this madness. We've got to keep talking. I always keep saying this. Let's keep talking. And let's take a commercial break, come back. We're talking sanity prevailing. And level heads must prevail. And this is the moment. Time to reason. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.